record you if you're not talking. There you go.
All right. So disclaimer. Go ahead and get this one out of the way so we can get started. So the topics, properties, and investments discussed are for educational purposes only. We do not sell securities, and each investor is responsible for their own decisions and must evaluate investments according to their investment risk tolerances. Opinions expressed are those of speakers and no one else. So there's that. The introduction, I'm going to introduce William. So we've got William Collins. He's the CEO of W.T. Collins Homes Incorporated. William T. Collins Homes is a single-family home developer located in Northwest Georgia. And William, do you have like a presentation or PowerPoint? Okay.
No, I didn't upload anything for.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So I was just gonna kind of talk to you, and so
Cool.
from our end, me and Tony back in 2012, 2008 to was obviously very interesting for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so in 2012, me and him kind of had some other stuff that wasn't going so great, so we decided to join up. And at the time, it was more about just trying to get some cash. And so we decided we'd start a little business called Brothers Buildings, and we were just going to build like small sheds and stuff like that. And then, so I think we built about 6 sheds, and then ended up getting a commercial project to do some work. And then that kind of rolled into us hiring a bunch of people and doing a lot of subcontract work. And so that went on, I guess, until about 2016, 2017. We did all kinds of stuff from, commercial project jobs, boardwalks and bridges to, framing and stuff like that in new construction. And so we got a contractor's license in 2017, and then we started transitioning in 2017 and, really finished out the year pretty much as subcontracting and trying to figure out how to make a cash flow work while we tried to get into building. And so 2018, we kind of started the transition getting into that. 2019, then we started building more and got really more into being contractors and not subcontractors anymore. And so then 2020, we, pretty much were just building new homes is about the only thing we were really doing at that point. And so, and then 2021, we've been able to do about 30 houses this year. And so, Lord's been really good to us. We've been able to, just grow every year. And honestly, in the beginning, we wasn't trying to have a business in the beginning. We were just trying to get some cash at the time. And so, but over from 2012 to now, now we have a good established business. And so Max, I guess it's been about 2 years ago, me and him sat down together and we talked, and we were just talking about where we were at in business and all that. And so he had recommended a book to me. And so I bought the book, and it sat on my bookshelf for about a year. And then I talked to somebody else. They recommended the same book. And so finally I started reading the book, and the book was Traction. So reading through that book, Traction, caused us to kind of change our perspective about how we really seen the business, and really started making it more of a business and not just a job and not just something we were working in, And so we've tried to add a lot more stuff to make it like a real company and not just two guys with a vision kind of thing. And so we started implementing a lot of the Traction stuff, and the timing couldn't have hit any better because we hit a huge growth spurt. And had we not started implementing a lot of the stuff from the Traction, we probably wouldn't have been able to hold it all together.
Yeah.
And so, our business, we'd always stayed under $1 million. Like, we never grossed more than $1 million up until a couple years ago. Well, then once we capped over that mark, then we went from staying under $1 million. Then we did right over $1 million. Well, then it went to like $2 million. So, you know, for some, that's not big numbers, but from where we've been at, you know, that's a huge difference. Yeah, we'd always been under $1 million, and then now you're doubling, you know, and you're over 2 million. And so I'm very thankful to Max for recommending that, and you know, for the other people that had kind of pushed us into working on those things and really focusing on that stuff. And so through all that, I think it's really helped us. And then, you know, like I said, this year now we're up to about, you know, 30 homes is what we'll get done this year. And next year is looking, you know, if it works out, we might do 50 to 60 homes next year with the kind of stuff that we're trying to put together now. The opportunities we've been getting here lately is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Just people calling and offering us properties and stuff like that. And so we're kind of at a point right now where we're trying to make sure we just choose the right ones and not just take everything we can get. And so, but we've got some, you know, really good stuff sitting in front of us. And also I'd say that, you know, through that traction book, it also taught us some things about figuring out who we were as a company. And so as we did that, you know, we built some core values for our company, and that I think helps because it keeps us on track. And, you know, our project managers and everybody in the business, it helps us to be able to, you know, remind each other of what we're really about and what our real focus is. And so we try to make a big emphasis on that. And so that it's not just something on our website, but it's something that people experience whenever they meet us. And so that's been another good step in the business for us. And then, so all that has caused our business to, you know, flourish into now we do custom homes for people. We do a lot of spec homes. And so the way we accomplish, you know, the financing and all that kind of stuff, it changes. And so, you know, people that come and want custom homes done, they bring their own financing or bring their own cash, and we'll do the builds for them. And then, you know, in a lot of the spec situations, we'll use either bank loans, or we'll do hard money loans, or we do investors. And so that's kind of the three options that we really go through as far as doing the builds and getting the stuff constructed. And honestly, the banks is the most aggravating way to do it. You have to deal with, you know, you're subject to all their little, you know, bureaucracies and all that kind of stuff you want to deal with.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're slow and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a pain in the neck. The hard money lenders, some of them are, you know, pretty good. Investors, a lot of times, is a good option for us, just because we can get the money when we actually need it, and we can keep the jobs moving along. And so it just makes a more fluid relationship as you're trying to go through that stuff. And it helps us on our cash flow in doing it that way too. So that kind of, you know, that's a large scale sum of kind of what we're doing, what we're all about. And so just give you a quick example, like when we have investors involved and stuff like that, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll just do a percentage split on the profits. And so what that looks like tends to change depending on how good, you know, everything works out on the property. And so we Max has done some stuff with us before, and there's another guy named Paul. I don't know if y'all know him. He's done some stuff with us. And so whenever you know, like a good deal, I guess, is when you can do everything fast and get people their money back as fast as possible is always the goal.
Oh, yeah.
And so sometimes there's hiccups. Sometimes, like with Max's deal, the HOA wanted to be a real pain in the neck and drug the project out. And so something that should have been done in 4 months ended up taking probably closer to 8 months or so. And so with all the COVID stuff, it makes things take longer. And so we can't do the turnarounds as fast as we used to be able to do them. And so now pretty much anything is at least 6 months when we go to, you know, build something out. And so it kind of ties up the project and ties up our time a little bit longer now that we're dealing with COVID. But based on everything that we've been told, that's not going to change, and it's not going to go away because the manufacturers and stuff, they're not changing. They're not upscaling what they're doing. And so the demand and the shortages and all that kind of stuff are just going to linger around. And so on our side, we try to be, really innovative on, instead of just looking at whatever the problem is in front of us, trying to figure out how in the world are we going to get around it. And so we've been very fortunate and been very blessed to be able to make it work and still be, good and profitable, even though all this crazy stuff's kind of going on.
But the one thing that has benefited us is we've been branding ourselves. So here where we're at, everybody knows who we are. And we have built a really good brand. So now opportunities are coming our way, like a 30 lot project up the street. It seems to be out. I never even knew it was there. And it is an awesome deal. So now these people are coming to us. So opposed to us, like we have 20 houses going right now, and they're in 5 different counties. It looks like we're fixing to have an opportunity to do 30 houses on 2 streets. So with these being around for a while, that's been a family-owned business. Everybody knows who we are around here. Building that brand, now we are having some opportunities that's working our way. To be able to build 30 houses in one location is a lot better than doing 20 in 5 counties. So the good thing about it is our brand is actually reaching out and people know who we are. And William is excellent at the details. I'm more of a big picture guy. So God has blessed us to get to work together. Not counting we're family. 2 of my sons work for us, daughter-in-law, uncles, cousins. We got them all. As long as they work hard, we'll work them. If they don't, we run them off. So, but we are truly blessed. Didn't mean to interrupt you, William. But I did want to bring up that even though we do have some obstacles, some things have really started coming our way with a lot more opportunities now, with all these projects that we can get our hands on. So we got another development with 10 lots up the street. So
yeah, so we've got, like you said, the 30, the 10, and then we're possibly
13.
Yeah, we're possibly looking at doing some multifamily stuff eventually too. And so we're kind of in the early stages of that. So we're still working with the landowner, trying to see if we can possibly secure the land. And so hopefully that's something within the next, few months we can be able to try to put together too.
And not counting, we ain't sure how to do one of these meetings, so we don't know if we're giving y'all too much information or what we're actually doing here. But I'm enjoying talking to all y'all anyway.
You guys are good. Right on.
Well, do you have any questions? Not that I can answer them, but I'll definitely make up anything.
I got a question.
What you got?
So, can you walk us through the timeline, start to finish? When I say start, meaning from acquiring the lot to the permitting processing and, shovel ready to start and to the end.
So from the time we buy the land to the time we can finish the house is typically about 6 months right now. And so if it's a really high-end house, we've had them go 9 months, but most of the time closer to 6 months is kind of the turnaround time. And typically right now, as soon as we can get a house finished, it'll be sold before it's finished.
Oh, yeah.
And so like with Max's, property, it was already like, as soon as we got the CO, like the people closed on it as soon as we could get the CO. And we've got several others going right now that, they're just past the drywall stage and they're already sold. And we're not listing them until they're almost finished. And the reason why we're doing that is because the market's been changing so much that
Price goes up.
Yeah, so like we've got some going right now. They're just small homes, and originally we were going to sell them for $190, but now, that was about 4 months ago. Well, now we're looking at it, and so we just listed them for $220, and 3 out of 4 are already under contract. And so what we've kind of done on those, it being right here at the end of the year, we just kind of pushed the closings off to the first week of January just to kind of defer some of the taxes and stuff for this year and just push it on in the next year.
I'll tell you how fast the market is moving. We just closed on, well, we're closing on a house
Wednesday,
just right up the street. 344, yeah, 344,000. The same house 2 miles up the road, we're just got a contract on it, 365.
Mm-hmm.
So $21,000 more in just a month and a half. I mean, it makes no sense how fast these numbers are going up. A year and a half ago, the same house, we sold $100,000 less. And now the materials, not all materials, but the wood prices have come down. It looks like it's a really good opportunity for us to recoup our money from COVID.
Yeah.
It looks like we're fixing to really start building up some steam now. $20,000 just in what, 2 months?
Mm-hmm.
2 months difference on his house. It makes no sense. And that's another reason why we don't really list them until we get close to the end, because the numbers just keep going up. Why put it out there when you know you're going to sell it anyway? I know I'm giving you more than you're asking for, but y'all got any other questions?
And Tyler had his hand up. Who you got, Tyler?
Hey guys, thanks for giving a little insight into what you do. I am no developer myself. I'm still trying to learn the various different niches that go into real estate. Development is certainly one that takes a lot of experience to understand. But my understanding of it is that 6 months for a turnaround time is pretty impressive. From buying the lot to drawing up plans, everything wrapping up in 6 to 8 months. Would you say that in comparison to other companies that do a similar job that you guys do, that is pretty competitive? 6 months seems very fast.
Well, you've got a lot of these big box companies that I would say they're probably turning theirs maybe a little bit faster than we are, you know.
But they're building the same house and they're doing 100.
And they're doing a cheaper quality house. But on our end, a lot of things that we try to do is if we're already in the process of securing a piece of property, we'll go ahead and start our permits and all that kind of stuff before we even close on the property. That way, as soon as we close, we can go ahead and just break ground right then, instead of buying it and then sitting on it a week or a month waiting on the county.
Yeah.
We try to be proactive on stuff like that. And, that way, because on our end, we look at it like every house that sits for a week, that's about $500 out of our pocket. So if we've got a project that nothing's going on, we're basically giving $500 away just because we got, overhead expenses and stuff like that for every job we're carrying. And so we're doing everything we can to make sure there's progress every week. And so we're trying to eliminate anything that's going to stall us. Like right now, windows is an example. We have to order our windows before we even put the foundation in, because windows have such a long lead time right now.
But
Sure.
To your account about the 6 months and that sounding fast, that's around here, that's about right. But we are third generational carpenters. I mean, we were born and raised in this stuff. That's what our whole family has done. So when he mentioned that we went in to the business, we went out of business because the economy crashed, over in 08. And that's what we did. I built houses framed. I'm an old school framer. We both are. So we definitely know our way around a house. So,
It's good being able to leverage off of prior, experience, especially if it's decades worth. A couple quick follow-up questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
What is your average cost per square foot?
So that's a really tricky one. It changes like crazy.
Yeah.
Before COVID, I'd literally brought 2 project managers in. We spent all this time making these formulas up so that to price our houses, we could literally just go in there and punch in the square footage and it'd spit out how much everything would cost us. And
Right.
So we went through all this time getting all these numbers together, and literally as soon as we got it all put together, then when COVID hit, and I mean, if a house is not under construction, we don't even use the numbers anymore because it changes that much. Just to give you an example, OSB, 4 months ago, $50 a sheet. 2 years ago, $7 a sheet. Today, $18 a sheet. And so, I mean, that's a huge roller coaster to try to plug your numbers in. So basically, what we do every time we go to start a project, I'll go into our files for our active projects, and whatever we just done, I'll plug in that number from that project and do a formula based off that. Because if you just, like, I'll give you one example. Before COVID, we were able to build stuff at between $65 to $75 a square foot. That was our cost. And so, but now it's changed a lot. If I was going to throw a number out right now, I'd probably say we're probably at like 110 or something like that is probably a rough number of where things would be at now in comparison. But, like I said, I mean, literally every couple of days I get a phone call from somebody saying, hey, the price of this is changing. Yeah. Like shingles, one of the project managers called me yesterday and said, hey man, we're up to $205 a square on shingles now, which is, way higher than what we used to be at.
And I'll give you this, not that, and you all are very smart people, obviously, but even though the prices of material fluctuate and mostly go up and sometimes come down, the benefit for us is that there is such a need for houses. The price of material is not what's driving the price of the house. The price of the house is driven because there's not enough houses and there's way more buyers. Our real estate agent, or one of the ones that we deal with, said there's like 8 million buyers right now and only 1 million houses. So that's why people are gobbling them up, just bidding out the roof, and they just keep going up, and they will continue to. And I don't know where the ceiling might be. I'm surprised we haven't hit it yet, but it's going to keep going up until people run out of money or you get enough houses on the market. Same thing was happening with the cars, right? When you couldn't get chips, people were selling their old used cars and getting gobs of money for them because you couldn't buy a new car.
Right.
That's happening with houses. That's not the material that's driving the prices. It's the supply.
Yeah, that makes sense. One other quick follow-up. You had mentioned Paul before. By any chance, is that Paul Rogers?
Paul Williams.
Oh, okay. Thought it might be a
David,
mutual connection there, but
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry about that,
Thank you.
David, you had a question?
Yeah, so I just want to know what you guys are doing as far as preparing for it when the market changes, how you're going to protect your business, and what you guys are doing for that.
So that's part of the reason why we did custom houses for so long, was we were really worried about that, and figure the more diversity we had, the better off we'd be. But right now we're leaning more into just doing the spec homes. And so, everybody's got an opinion about the market, and depending on which news channel you watch or, that kind of stuff, they'll give you their variation of what inflation is going to do and all that kind of stuff. And so, but kind of where I'm sitting at is the housing market. What caused it to crash before was a completely different situation than what we're in today. The problem with the market before was you had a surplus of houses and you had a lot of bad loans out there. Well, today that's not the situation we're sitting in. And so for me, and not to say that I know everything, but to me, to say that the housing market is going to take a dive, there's nothing to substantiate that at this time.
Yeah.
And so right now we're just going to lean harder into the spec market. And then if we see the market starting to shift, then we'll start pulling back from the specs and we'll start going back into the customs where people are, paying us the cash at that point.
But like our experience has been that when we put a house on the market, we're taking the best offers. We're not just taking a offer.
Yeah.
We weed through them and take the best. If it's a cash deal, we take that one. We sold a cash deal. This has been about a year ago. Well, not quite a year ago. 2 hours after we put the house on the market, cash offer. And it's been crazy like that. People are just, and like he's saying, there's I would love to hear anybody that has an opinion, because we always want to learn in case we're not looking at something right. But me personally, all they got to do is take their foot off the brake. I mean, there's job openings everywhere. I don't know how we could have a recession with so many job openings. That's kind of weird when you think about it. There's gobs of people needing people to work. So, and people, some people are worried about a lot of houses hitting the market from people losing their houses. Well, I don't think that's an issue, for the simple fact your house is worth so much more than what you owe on it. So anybody that has a house that might lose it could sell it anyway. So I don't see anything that could really slow the market down. I know there's a lot of silly stuff that I don't agree with right now going on, but I would think we got a good 2 solid years, seeing how there's so many people needing houses. There's no way we could build 8 million houses in 2 years, because normally builders only produce about 1 million houses a year per se. All right, we're already 8 million in a deficit. In the next couple of years, we're still going to be in a deficit, for the simple fact there's going to be 2 years worth of more people who will need houses. So it's pretty good. Even, something catastrophic could happen, you know.
A lot of the individual builders, whenever COVID started, a lot of them pulled out. Like, they just quit building. And so,
which made it better for us.
Yeah, which, we go to these home builders association meetings, and I remember when COVID first started, some of the builders would be talking and they'd be like, man, if you got any spec houses, you're crazy right now. Well, man, I'm looking at each other. We got a pile of spec houses.
Sell them like
and
crazy.
So those guys are just missing out on opportunities.
Yeah.
And, like, to each his own. If they don't want to get involved in the risk of it, that's fine. But at the end of the day, to me, a lot of people's negative vibes about the housing market, they're just regurgitating what they have heard and seen in the past, but they're not evaluating what's going on in the market today.
Right now.
And so they're just saying, well, it's going to happen because it happened, instead of saying it's going to happen because this is going on.
And you give it enough time, I'm sure it will. I just don't think it's going to happen in the next couple of years.
Which, just my opinion on it, another situation that's different today than in the past is you've got so many hedge funds that now control so many residential properties that if they even saw anything going on in the market, like, they're literally buying everything they can get their hands on right now.
Yeah.
So even if the market was flooded, like, they'd suck them up. I mean, like, it wouldn't even be able to stay on the market because they would buy up as many as they could.
Yeah.
Because they're getting ridiculous rent rates on all this stuff. And so they would absorb any kind of mass inventory that hit the market. For us, we prefer not to sell our homes to hedge funds. And just because, like, I don't think it's good to be controlled by big corporations so much. And, but, we've sold 3 brand new homes recently to hedge funds just because at the end of the day, they brought a cash offer. They're willing to close in like 10 days and
they don't complain.
Yeah. And they don't complain. And that is one of the biggest things is when they want to buy it, they're not, riding us about silly stuff. They just give you the money and they lose your phone number. They don't even want to talk to you again after they get the the house.
So there's a lot of opportunities right now in real estate. A lot of opportunities.
So somebody like myself, I'm in San Francisco Bay Area, and I do fix and flips here. It's getting harder and harder to find deals because it's a lot of competition.
Right.
Margins are getting slimmer. And where I live, which is right outside the city, it's an emerging market where you see a lot of new development coming up. So I want to get into that. So what would you recommend for somebody like me on where to start with that?
So I don't know what all your regulations are in your area. Like in Georgia, I had to go take a residential builder's test, and it was a bit of a grueling test. It was about an 8-hour test. And so is that something like San Francisco? I'm assuming you'd be needing something like that, or you already carry that?
Yeah, no. So I'm not. I don't have a contractor's license. So I've always used subs or a GC, but I mainly use subs for my flips. And for the new construction, I would need to have a contractor come in because I don't have the license to do it.
Yeah. So basically, you could do the same kind of thing that like people do with us sometimes.
Yeah.
Is find you a general contractor that has already got something going on and seeing if you can like send him a little money to get stuff done and, you know, work out a deal. Because for us, like I mentioned, you know, it helps with our cash flow when people do that with us. Now, I will say on our end, we don't really want investors that want to get involved. And not because people can't have good opinions, but just because when there's too many people trying to make a decision, nobody makes a decision a lot of times. And so, you know, a lot of the investors we deal with, they don't even have a clue what the house is even going to really look like when it's finished. They just know that they're going to give us money and we're going to give them a good bit more money back when it's all said and done. That's what they're banking on. And so for us, that's kind of the way it works. But, you know, you may find a guy that would want somebody to kind of partner up and get involved too. And
especially if you've done flips before.
Yeah. And so if you can bring some subs that would help him out, then that would make you even more valuable to him also. Is, you know, like you would really be more of a partner in the situation. And so you're not just maybe bringing some money to the table, but if you can bring some sub networks too, because that's a hard thing right now, you know, even for us, is we're struggling with subs just because we've got a group of people we've always worked with, but we've grown so fast that some of them can't keep up. And so then that causes us to have to reach out further and bring in people we hadn't dealt with before, as far as just, you know, getting stuff done.
Hey, may I make a suggestion? I would say, and I don't know how involved, if you've done flips, it sounds like you enjoy the process, right?
Yeah.
Well, if I was you, because I was that guy that did the work, you know what I'm saying, that enjoyed getting out there, getting my hands dirty. So you need to find somebody like me out that way that maybe doesn't have some of the skills that you have, that can take you to that next level, and you can definitely take that guy to the next level. So it'd be a really good partnership, I would think, to find that guy that's maybe just barely skimming by, maybe doing small projects, but still has his GC license. Because I think a lot of folks, they need that different kind of thinking. Him and I work really well together because we don't think nothing alike. So he stays in his lane and I stay in my lane. And when we started doing that, it worked out really good because we don't, if he has a big $1,000 screw up, I don't say nothing. Because I know I'm going to do something that's really going to mess things up. So it's worked out really well for us. We don't complain when the other one messes up. And I'll tell you something else, and I'm probably giving y'all way more than you want to hear, but I'm always giving people more than they want to hear. We try hard to have a stress-free business. We thrive on that because I think if you're excited about going to work and you're excited about the people you're around, that going to work ain't really such a chore. And I used to be hard to work with. I mean, I was a pit bull. I was rough. But God worked on me on that. So I even tell my guys, if I think one of my project managers is stressed out because he's really trying to get something done, I try my best. Hey, your family's first. Well, God's first, your family's second. This job is third. And don't get stressed out. So I do believe, you know, we try to keep a stress-free work zone. But that would be my opinion. Find somebody that's barely skimming by, and you'd probably make a huge alliance with somebody.
And if you just some suggestions on finding you somebody like that, man, go to the local
That's good.
building supply place and ask them, hey, who's really good about paying their bill, and might be, you know, a little bit on the smaller scale. That way, you get lined up with somebody that's gonna, you know, be good and taking care of their, you know, debts and stuff like that. But also, you know, the local lumber salesman kind of guy, he knows everything going on with everybody. I mean, it's like the town gossip.
Exactly.
And so you can go in there and be like, hey, who do you think's got some really good potential? And man, I'm sure they can help you out there.
Also, the Builders Association, though, that might be a good
Yeah,
spot.
those guys are typically a little more squared away.
Most of them. You might find some leads there. Definitely get some knowledge there.
Thank you. I
Hey,
appreciate
you're more than welcome to call us, because
Yeah.
that's just the one thing we are good at. I don't know that area out there. I know the regulations are probably crazy.
Well, I'm going to be in Atlanta in first week of December. I'd love to treat you guys to lunch or dinner or something.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Which we got that.
Now, December the 6th through the 8th, we'll be at another conference in Vegas. But if you're here, at least send me a text or something. If we're around, we'll definitely have lunch, man.
And we'll buy yours.
I
It's
appreciate
the fanciest McDonald's around.
it. I'm okay with that. I won't be on my fast.
That's right.
McDonald's has salads.
I can't go to McDonald's and get a salad. I'm sorry.
It's like drinking toilet water, ain't it?
And Max has a question. You have a question, Max?
That's where you're gonna be at, in the toilet.
Sometimes I heard this one thing, that sometimes toilets had less bacteria than the kitchen sink. So I've heard that possibly, you might.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a different topic. But okay, so yeah, I appreciate you saying all that about traction. Thank you for that. It's very kind of you. I'm curious though, when you started, so you read the book Traction, because I've recommended that to anybody who would listen to me who's building a business, and all these individuals are building one business form or another. Did you guys go out and hire, there's a name for it, like a professional traction implementer or that kind of person? Did you guys hire that as part of your journey?
So what we did is we hired, the Home Builders Association reached out to me about a company called Small Business Growth Partners. And basically what they do is they coach people that are involved in construction. And so they do home builders, or if you are like a lumber supply place or plumbing supply place, if you have anything to do with construction, they do coaching for those types of companies. And so we talked to them, we hired them on as a coach. And so in their introductory packet that they shipped me, there was just a few things, and there was 2 books of traction in there, and there was some Jim Rohn CDs in there. And so so in our first couple meetings with a coaching system, that was one of the things they started pushing right off the beginning. And so we started reading the book, and then, going through the coaching, talking about it. So then we decided, we want everybody on the team to read the book. So we had all our project managers and accountant and all those kind of people. We had all of them read the book. And so then we tried to, in our weekly conversations, start talking about how, what they read and how it affected them and what they see in our business and that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of the pieces of how we tried to start implementing it. That's where the idea of coming up with the core values for our company and stuff like that, all come from reading that book. And it caused us to get a lot more organized. And so we implemented some systems that really helped with the scheduling and all that kind of stuff that made a big difference.
We also gave 2 of our subs this week that book and the DVD, so they listed it in their truck while they're driving. So it's got a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that. And then, and you've touched on it a couple of times. I know you developed the core values as part of that process, but how do you, you must have, I don't know how many people in your business now. Do you have 10 to 30-ish kind of people? What's your number of employees? And specifically speaking, how do you sort of cascade your values down through your people? How does that, your employees and personnel, how does that work in your business?
Okay, so on our team, what we consider our core team, there's me and Tony, and then 2 of his sons work for us, Andy and Elijah. And then Leah is his daughter-in-law. She does all the accounting. And then Sharon, she's like an assistant to Leah and kind of liaison for everybody. And then we've got 2 more project managers, Matt and Roy. And so that's the core of the team. Now, we've got hundreds of people that subcontract from us, and so there's a lot of different companies and all represented in that umbrella, but our core team is made up of, less than 10 people. And so, but kind of how we really push the core values piece is every Thursday we have a meeting. And so in that meeting every Thursday, we do a devotion. Now, we're Christians, so typically it's based out of the Bible. And so we take some kind of biblical principle and apply it into the business. And, try to talk about then, like this past Thursday, we talked about, he actually did a thing, talked about Solomon and talked about how Solomon's wisdom, but yet Solomon was so wise that he died a fool. And kind of went through how don't get too caught up in how much we've accomplished or how much you've accomplished. Keep in your mind that, you can fool yourself in a really bad situation. And so we try to use those principles. And in our business, what we've really been trying to push lately is your first responsibility is my day is to honor God, and I get to honor God by us building houses. And so that way, when you have a bad day of building houses, if you honored God, then you still had a good day. And so that's the way we kind of push that principle. And, hey, at the end of the day, man, there's a verse that talks about to be a just weight is his delight. And so the Lord delights in a just weight. And so if we can just be just in our business, then God's going to delight in what we're doing. And so our, core values, the acronym for it is made out of the word faith. And so we really try to talk about that every week. And, we have lunch with our team almost every day. So we try to get everybody to have lunch almost every day together. And then we constantly are talking about, trying to do things above board and trying to be right in everything we do, because at the end of the day, we believe that God will take care of us if we just do right and be right in everything.
And like another thing I think that kind of shows our people, our view is like, even if we have warranty work, opposed to dodging phone calls, we feel extremely responsible when somebody calls us and they have a legitimate problem. And I think when we handle things like that, when we see if somebody does have a problem with their air conditioner, that we don't just push it off till next week, and our employees see the way we handle those things. And then we have these other companies around us that literally, if you have a problem with your house, you cannot get them on the phone.
Yeah.
So to me, those little things just are daily. Or if we had one of our guys that got COVID, stayed in the hospital, one of the guys that worked for us, and not one of our core guys, but just one of the other guys. And we literally sent him a check every week. We didn't know if the guy was going to make it. So I think those little things like that let people know that we invest in people just as much as we just invest in, our business. So I think that, and like William said, we truly think that if we do what we're supposed to do, God's going to take care of it. So we have that eye watching us, which keeps us honest. And that shows through the way we act. Now, I'm going to tell you real quick, like, I don't claim to be no super saint. I don't go to church because it's a hobby. Tony needs to go to church so I don't show up on the 5 o'clock news. I am crazy by nature. So God has really shown me the light. And I'm going to tell you, church wouldn't be my first idea. If I didn't think there was a God, I would probably be at a bar right now, not on this meeting. So, but no, I do believe in God. He's really changed us, and it's been an amazing life. I'm having more fun doing this than I ever would running the streets acting like a fool. High-speed chases, whatever y'all do, So I'm grateful for the life I have.
Ms. Wilder, you got a question?
Well, I would say it's more of a statement than a question. I've actually been on your website, and I tell you, I like the fact that each one of your custom homes from what's on your website are truly unique. And I'm sure that pleases those who tend to retain your services. So you have quite a few homes listed here. Are these all within what, a year's time frame that you've built these homes, or
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years?
We don't really put everything on there. We put a little bit of a mixture, you know, so that people don't just think we do really high-end stuff, you know, and so we put low, medium, and high. That's kind of the range of stuff that we've done. And so we haven't never done like a $10 million house or nothing like that. So, but kind of what's on our website is kind of a mixture of all the types of stuff that we have done, just to kind of give people an idea of what, you know, what we can do for them. And so,
Now,
Okay.
just to brag on ourselves a little bit, and I do take humility in myself sometimes. But anyhow, with all that aside, we were on the what's the name of that show? We were on the Discovery Channel for a little bit.
yeah, we done a thing for garage
Yeah,
rehab
that's what it was.
a couple years ago with Richard Rollins, and so they were rehabbing a local place around here,
A garage.
and so it was for like veterans, and it's a shop where, you know, veterans, when they get out, they can go there and kind of learn a trade and skill and stuff like that. And so we got involved and helped out on that. And so I forget if that was probably a little over 2 years ago when we were doing that show with them.
That helped a little bit with our branding. And
Yeah.
then we've had 2 houses. One that we flipped, and I know he does flips. We flipped a house that's 120 years old. We put it on Facebook. It went viral. And then one of our new houses, we built it, put it on Facebook, and it went viral. It's just weird. It seems like God has blessed stuff that for him and we seem shocked that I go to a church about 1,500 people, and I had people walking up to me saying, "Hey, I know you build houses. Y'all check out this house." And I looked at it and I'm like, "That's my house." There was that many people looking at that house. It was just, to me, it's a God thing, but
Yeah.
we've been very fortunate the way we branded ourselves.
Max, you got a question again?
I still got like 6 questions, so I want to run through a few of them here. So you're mentioning, you know, you're sort of moving, you know, I see your growth rate. It seems, you know, like a pretty good trajectory. I'm glad you got that traction as the background to help you manage that. But now you're talking about a 30-lot project, a 10-lot project, and a couple of others of these. What's your thinking on how you're going to finance those? Because that's going to kind of shift the way this finance model looks for you, right? And maybe opportunities for investors possibly who are on this call.
Yeah, and so kind of what we're looking at now is the 30-lot development. The guy that owns it, he's willing to fund it, but
Just 4 at a time, though.
yeah, he's only wanting to do a couple at a time. So what we're looking at doing is basically we'll let him fund a couple of them. We'll probably fund a couple, and then anybody that wanted to invest, then they could fund one too. And so essentially we've got the manpower. We could do 10, 15 of them at a time. It's just a matter of, you know, putting all the dots in a row and making it work out. So those houses will probably sell for, you know, $400,000 to $450,000 is probably what they'll sell for.
Wow. And what do you think that would cost? Like if an investor is putting up the money for it, how much do you think it would cost to build those?
So probably, I would say that would be less, probably right under 300. So,
Okay.
So probably 290 to 300.
Okay, I want to push the boundaries a little bit of the discussion. If a person had plans for a 12-bed senior living home, you think you could find a piece of land in Atlanta in your area and build it?
I actually am talking with some guys now. There's a town in Villa Rica, and we're trying to see if we can get that piece of property. It's already been zoned to do something like that.
Okay, I want to get Tyler's wheels thinking on that. And mine too. I'm interested in that too. Okay, and then you mentioned some of the different price levels for a small home versus a larger home. I hear you on those lots. You know, it's a $300,000 build and possibly a 400-ish, you know, for even more sale of those homes. And then I'm curious about what is a small home for you in terms of maybe square footage and what those cost and so forth. I think you mentioned they might be those are the ones selling for 190 or 220. How big are those and how much do those cost to build?
So they're about 1,400 square feet. Right now we're selling them for about 220. Those don't have garages on them. It's just the house itself.
Hmm.
And then, so kind of the ranges is 1,400 square feet. And then the other one that's the most common is 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. Is kind of where we're doing a lot right now. And so kind of depending on if it's just a regular spec house or if it's more of a custom spec. You know, if it's just a regular spec, you know, we're looking right now at around 350 to 360 on a sales price at about 2,000 square feet. Where if we've done a more custom spec, then you're going to be at closer to, you know, 400 to 425 number on those.
And that's the 280 to 300 to build kind of range?
Yeah.
You mentioned it briefly that you, like if somebody calls you with a follow-up, after you sell, kind of what's your policy and how do you manage that? Because what I'm hearing is the difference between a hedge fund buyer and say just a family that buys it and then after it's sold, how do you kind of manage that? If they call you up and go, I need this or that, how's that all work?
So we've got these books that are produced by the Home Builders Association. Every buyer gets one when they move in the house. And so, you know, let's just say if somebody calls me and they're like, hey, this drywall looks terrible. You can tell them, well, go in your book and see what the guidelines are for drywall. And a lot of times, if it's drywall or paint, it'll be like you have to stand 5 feet away from the wall under normal lighting conditions. And if you can't see any imperfections, then we're not liable for that. And so, because literally Tony had a lady the other day have him go into a room, turn the lights off, and she whips out a flashlight and wants to start pointing stuff out with a flashlight. Now, to the average person, that would seem ludicrous. But that lady really thought that, you know, I can find this stuff with this flashlight. You need to fix it. Well, it doesn't work that way. And so the Home Builders Association having that guide, that's, you know, they're a respectable organization. And so it kind of mediates some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
How long does that sort of warranty process last after you sell a house?
So in the state of Georgia, we are required to give at least a 1-year warranty. And so for 1 year, we're liable for any true problems that they do have. And so, but if it's most of the houses, we offer what's called a 210 warranty program. We have to pay, you know, $400 or $500 on each house to offer that. But then the second year, if a plumbing pipe busts in the wall or something like that, then that warranty company will cover those kind of things also, so that the homeowner's not, you know, hung out to dry and stuff like that.
Got it. House warranty type thing. Okay. So, and then who draws your house plans?
So I would say 75% of the plans that we've done. And we do have some plans that's been purchased, but a lot of them are plans that I draw. And when I draw them, my main goal is to make it look appealing and to value engineer it. So we're not having to spend a bunch of money on
Material.
Yeah, because the architect, a lot of them, they just draw whatever looks good. They could care less what it's gonna, you know, cost you to build it. They're just trying to design something that looks nice. So I draw a lot of our stuff to try to mitigate and keep our costs down.
And you see the houses, they look amazing. He does a good job.
Interesting. Okay, so, and then I want to push you guys a little bit because I'm interested personally in your journey. I kind of see you guys as, you know, burgeoning contractors who at some point you're going to start to think about multifamily, and that's one of the focuses of this group. What are your sort of long-term, and I realize you're going to say this is conjecture and you're just sort of reaching out there a little bit, but what are you kind of thinking in your mind in terms of development of maybe small multifamilies and possibly again involving maybe investors who are on the call or that kind of thing? What's your thoughts?
So yeah, we're right now, the nearest thing on our radar is there's a 140 lot development townhome community that we're trying to get our foot in the door on that. And so we're keeping a conversation with the landowner. He's got a few little things he's trying to tighten up with the city to get them, because it started off supposed to be 190 units. They're trying to push him down to 140. And so it's trying to get that figured out. And so we've been trying to keep a constant conversation with that guy so that we can be the first ones to have an opportunity on it when he is ready to sell it. And so that's the closest thing in right now. And like I mentioned, the other thing about the assisted living place, some guys I know, they had got all that set up and sold it to a company. That company's been sitting on it, hadn't done anything with it. And so now they're going to see if they can just bring it back. And if they can get it back, then we're just going to partner up on it and do the build out on that. And so that was, I think it's only about a 4-acre area. And so it's not going to be a huge project on the assisted living thing, but that would, those two are the closest things that we're really looking at right now. And, one of our things that we've really thought about long-term is, as we get some of the stuff done, eventually trying to get something like that and keeping it just for retirement money. So long-term goal one day is to either own an apartment complex or some kind of townhome community that we just use as retirement money, just the income off of that.
And I'll give you this as well, Max. We made such an impression on the city because we kept on that we wanted to build nice stuff around here. We wanted to keep this a nice place to live, We made such an impression by just talking to the city council and all that the guy who owns this property actually wanted us to help talk to the city on his behalf, because he said they really like y'all. And we still told him, we still want to do quality stuff. And we want to make because it's only 5 miles up the road for us. It's just too close to home for us to be, throwing up a bunch of junk. So, but we have made a good impression with the city around here. And like I said, back to our branding, we're trying to just do good work.
All right, and I apologize if somebody else has got questions. You can jump in. I feel like I'm dominating these questions. I'm sorry, you guys, but just a couple more. You mentioned your acronym for values is faith. I'm curious if you just tell us what they are, and then I'm also, we as a group, we've tried to build, a values match group in this Geek group. So I appreciate you mentioning, like, even the conversation about David saying he's in town and you guys having lunch. I'd love it if, the members sort of put that in their minds when they're in town. It'd be a great place to stop. I don't think we have any people that live in Vegas, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think anybody on the call is from Vegas. But yeah, what does faith stand for?
So I don't know. Y'all probably can't really see that on there, but I normally leave this on my desk for any clients, that come in and sit down and talk to us. But basically, the F is for family. We're a family business, and so even the people that work in our business that are not family, we still try to be extremely good to them, and treat them just like they are part of the family, because we're together every day. And then ambition is the A. We're very ambitious people, and so. We're not really much on, it's kind of like the whole COVID thing. A lot of people kind of just, decided to stop, but
we never slowed down.
We wasn't interested in slowing down. And then innovative. I do think everybody on our whole team is really innovative kind of thinkers. Yeah. And so we're constantly trying to come up with the next thing. To me, I consider building. You're not really a builder, you're a problem solver. And so you're constantly fixing problems. And so the innovative thing is a big part. And then the T stands for just trustworthy. We try to be good to our word, whatever we tell people and all that kind of stuff. We try to make sure that we live that out to them and live up to them. And then helpful is the last thing. And, people call all the time about building a house, even if it's somebody that we're not going to mess with. I really try to be as helpful as I can, because I know a lot of times it's so overwhelming for people. And so we'll try to tell them anything we can possibly tell them, just to be as helpful as possible. Me spending 5 or 10 minutes just trying to help somebody find a way a little bit in some of that stuff, you know, at the end of the day, is not really costing me anything.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I wish I'd thought of that. That's a really good idea to use an acronym. Maybe I'll think if I can go back to our 5 core values and see if it fits into a good word there. I love
Okay.
that. Okay, that's good for me. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your fielding all my questions.
Thank you. Oh yeah, by the way, if any of y'all come down here, y'all gonna hang out and we'll show y'all what Southern hospitality really is.
Yeah.
We'll take all y'all bowling or something.
That sounds like a plan right there.
I used to live in Lithia Springs as well as Austell.
Yeah.
I had a home in
Yeah.
Austell.
Yeah, that's only about 20, 25 minutes from us.
Yeah.
Are you guys near? Is it Rockland? Is that near you, or is that? Do I have that right?
Rock Mart is, yeah, that's about 30 minutes from us.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions for William and Tony? Okay. So let's see. I guess at this point we can rate the meeting. Rate and wrap. So if you guys scroll down to where it says rate the meeting, let's go ahead and do this. You type your name in and you give the meeting a score 1 to 10. If you give the meeting anything below an 8, go ahead and explain why, and give everybody a chance to put theirs in there.
And remember too, Justin, that we're not rating the overall meeting, not the speaker.
Right, that is correct. Thank you, Aubrey.
Thank you.
Now I saw your face over there. You start flexing in your shirt. I was like,
No,
Justin, I got your back like a dry fit.
That's all that ice cream I just ate at Dairy Queen.
He's gonna bring David a salad.
That's right.
McDonald's.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start off. I rate the meeting an 8. Max?
I give it a 9.5. Thank you, gents. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Aubrey?
I give it an 8.
Awesome. David?
I give it a 10. Just want to say thank you guys for taking the time out your night to come talk to us.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Awesome. Mary said she gave it a 9. Terrina?
I've given it a 9.
Awesome. Pedro?
I give it a 9, definitely.
Cool. Tyler?
Give it an 8. Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Cabrin, did you want to if you want to speak yours, we can put yours in. All right, we'll catch him later, I suppose. Charmaine? I'm sorry.
An 8.
All right, Charmaine's giving it an 8. All right, we'll get you in there. Awesome. Cool. Well, I believe that's it. One of the things we want to do is end on time, so we're ending a little bit early tonight and give you guys some of your time back. How about that?
I have a question. If anyone wanted to get in contact with you, what's the best way to get in contact with you? Do you utilize social media outside of Facebook, etc.? Because I know Max is phenomenal at sending out information.
So we're going to try to get better about that. Right now, I don't actually have any social media accounts, but I did send my phone number over for the meeting. And so y'all are more than welcome to reach out to me, text me, call me. I don't mind anytime, yeah.
Okay.
As well with me, you can have my personal phone number, Egg. Call or text anytime. Even if, like David, if you have any questions, not saying I can answer anything, but been in the business a long time. If you have any questions, just shoot us a text or give us a call.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I see you guys' number here in the chat, so I'll make sure that I have it. I
It's
screenshot.
on the weekly call doc also, you guys. Just scroll down a little bit. It's down in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have anything else? All right. See you guys.
God bless y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Wayne,
God
Tony.
bless.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.